Hi everybody, this is Lucas with Custom Firearm Solutions. If you're following me on Facebook, you'll have seen that there's a video coming shortly about the M2. Well, here's the first video of that series. I need to be able to shoot this thing, and you can't obviously hold it, it's just too heavy, so I need a tripod. And looking online for tripods for these, we're talking upwards of $1,600 or more. And that's just too much for that. So I think today I'm going to go ahead and build myself a tripod for this. I have an extra Mark 93 soft mount from my Humvee leftover that I can mount this to. So I'm going to make a tripod mount that'll accept all those standard pintles, and I can use any soft mount I want for any other gun I may want to buy in the future. So that being said, today I'm not in my fancy clothes, I'm in my shop clothes. We're going to head out to the metal shop today. And we're going to do something new, and we're going to build ourselves a tripod. So I'm going to go set up in the metal shop here, and we'll be right back. All right, and we're out here in the metal shop, and here's kind of the rough rundown what I'm going to do. I picked up some stainless steel DOM tubing that slides in and out of each other real nice and snugly. I'm going to use that. That stick is going to be I'm going to cut it into 3 pieces and make those my legs. I have this piece of mild steel here that I'm going to cut into little sections, and I'm going to make a sleeve that my legs will slide into with a quick disconnect so I can quickly take those legs on and off. I picked up some of these quick disconnects here. We'll use something like that. And then this table here is all my plethora of soft mount stuff that I have left over from the Humvee. What I'm going to do is weld the legs and brackets, everything based off of the large pintle here. That way I can put, everything else to mount, for example, the Mark 93 mount on top of that. Or, of course, I have the adapter to use the smaller stuff if I want to, use my Barrett M82A1 mount or something like that. I don't have any drawings for this. I did some math in my head. I did some calculations on the angles I got to cut and things like that. So we're just going to kind of wing it as we go here today. Goal for today is going to get everything all welded up, and then tomorrow we'll go ahead and start sandblasting and repainting and getting things looking good. So I'm just going to set up the camera here real quick, and then we'll get started. All right, so everything I'm going to be doing is going to be based off of this pintle. So I'm going to make 3 legs, and I'm going to cut these into smaller sections here. I'm going to have a leg spread out evenly on each one of these. I should have 3 legs spread out all the way around this. And I'm going to cut this at the right angle. I'm going to weld this directly to this since it's mild steel to mild steel. And then that'll be our sleeve that our telescoping tube's going to slide into with a quick pin to hold everything in place. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut down this pipe into 3 even chunks here for my 3 legs. I'm going to get that on the bandsaw here. Then we'll cut all the angles and get everything all lined up real nicely before we start welding that. All right, so our next step is we're going to put these sleeves onto this pintle here. So doing a little bit of math on this, I'm going to be using 3-foot long telescoping tubes. So when it's fully compressed with the feet on it, it's just a tad over 3 foot long on each of these tubes that's going to go in here. So doing a little bit of math based on my minimum height that I want and my maximum height that I want when these telescopic tubes are collapsed or extended, I basically need to put these on at about a 43-degree angle. Just for the sake of simpleness, I'm going to cut them all at a 45-degree angle because that's easy to do with a speed square. That's going to give me just a couple inches difference from what my end goal was, so I'm happy with that. So my next step here is going to be all 3 of these. I'm going to cut at a 45-degree angle so we can mate these up to this pintle and weld them on nice. All right, and I have my 3 pieces cut all at 45-degree angles here. Next, I got to round these off so they'll mate nice with a rounded surface here. So I'm just going to mark those out real quick. I'm going to cut those with a grinder, get those roughed in so they butt up real nice, and I'll have a nice fit on my welding. I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera here real quick, and I'll be right back as soon as they're ready to go. All right, and now that I have my pieces all cut, they fit really nice, and I'll be able to weld them real nicely here to the pipe with a little gap. Next, I got to evenly space these out though, so I'm going to go ahead and measure out so they're evenly spaced into thirds around here. Alrighty, and next we're going to cut our legs here. I'm going to make the inners and the outers all 3 foot long. Alright, so we have our 3 tubes cut here. I just have the larger outer tube in right now. This is just for proof of concept to see how everything lines up and works before I go any farther. Naturally, I don't have the smaller inner tube in for the telescopic part of it, so this would be as low as it would go, plus or minus a couple inches. I just want to rough assemble everything here, make sure everything's the right height in the event that I'm, kneeling and shooting it. I want everything to be just right. I know I'll have no problem with height as I raise it up, but as it sits, obviously once these are all fixed, I'm going to have a very good, very sturdy platform. I don't have to worry about recoil or nothing like that. So I'm going to roughly set up the Mark 93 soft mount here, make sure everything lines up just right, and then see what kind of adjustments I need to do before I go any further. All right, so roughly speaking, the M2, of course, is going to sit up on top of here, so obviously I'm not mounting it up yet. It's not entirely all complete, but it gives you a rough idea kind of what we're looking at. So my biggest thing is if I'm kneeling down, I want to be able to be looking right down that optic here. And that's pretty much the exact height that I want to be at. The gun's going to sit right about here. The optic's just on top of that. I'll have no problem shooting that. If by chance, I do something later on down the line, I can always make adjustments to the leg heights, but I'm pretty happy with where this is at right now. The only thing I'm going to say that I want to do is I can tell it's just a little bit off. My garage floor is pretty level here, but one of these legs are definitely off, so I got to do some measuring and see which leg is off and make some tweaks and adjustments here to these guys to make sure everything's nice and level. It's not bad, but it's just enough that it would drive me nuts, so might as well fix it and do it right while I'm doing it here. So off camera, I'm going to go ahead and do some measuring, see what's up there, make some tweaks and adjustments, and I'll be back when we're ready to continue on with the legs. All right, and I have everything all leveled up here. I had one leg that was just out of adjustment, just cut the welds and re-welded it. I'm going to go ahead and finish welding this in a little bit better. I shouldn't say finish welding. I'm going to tack weld it a little bit better, make sure everything all works at the very end. I'll come back and do the finish welding on it here, but I'm just going to do a little bit better tack welding on everything, and then we'll be moving on with the legs. Alrighty, now I want to go ahead and finish the outer tube of the legs here, and my idea I'm going to try, I have no idea if it's going to work, is I'm going to try to make this clamp down onto my inner telescoping tube. Now to do that, I really don't have a better idea, so this is what I was thinking. So my idea to clamp this outer pipe tight onto the inner pipe is to take one of these coupler nuts, and I'm going to weld that onto that outside pipe there. And then I'm going to take my grinder and I'm going to cut this nut right in half all the way through the center pipe. Then I'm also going to cut halfway around this pipe here and then use one of these bolts here, and hopefully it'll pinch that metal tight when I tighten this bolt up. That's the plan anyways. I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. We'll try it. If it does not work, I have plenty of extra here. I can cut off a couple inches and redo a different design if I have to. But I'm going to go ahead and try this first, see how that works out, and if that works out, we'll go ahead and do it on the other two. All right, so that welded up pretty good actually for welding welding to stainless steel there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this with a grinder and see if this will work the way I want it to work. And then if all goes well, if I can get enough movement there, I'm going to drill out half of these threads. That way I can just tighten it up with one of these guys. So let me go ahead and cut this out, see how it works, and we'll cross our fingers. All right, that's it. That's all she does. Perfect. So that worked out really, really well. I can't get those to move. I'm going to do that exact same thing to these other two pipes here. Then we're going to go ahead and do another dry fit assembly, see how that telescoping tube really works. And I'll be back after I have these two done. All right, so the legs turned out great, actually. I'm very happy with how that how it ended up. I just can't help myself. I got to try it. I'm going to do a test fit with everything here. I'm going to put the M2 up on top of it just to make sure that my heights and everything are just right where I want it. After that all checks out, I'm going to go ahead and drill the holes to mount these legs to the center, as well as I got to make some feet yet for this thing. And then before all that's all finished, I got to clean up all my cuts and all my sharp edges and things like that. But I'm anxious, so I'm going to go ahead and test fit everything real quick here and just see how these legs work out and how everything tightens up. So let's get this thing assembled real quick. Alrighty, and I got it roughly mounted up here. The pins aren't quite all the way in, but it's a good proof of concept. Incredibly sturdy. I'm very happy with that. Obviously, I do have to finish my welding before I really put it through the paste. But the biggest thing is it the right height? So if I wanted to shoot it just like this, very comfortable, I can definitely get on board with that. If I wanted to kneel down, I can see through the iron sights, but that's a little bit too tall for me. So I think I might shorten these legs up a little bit, but I'm going to do it at the very end. I can chop them off up here before I bolt those in place. I'm going to go ahead and weld everything together just where that's at. I like how that's feeling. I do like it a lot. So I think I'm going to weld those, finish welding these all in place good here. And that should do me here. We'll weld those in place, get that all finished up there, and we'll move on from there. All right, and everything's looking good there. It's time for me to do some feet on this. And I've been doing a lot of thinking. I want something that'll dig into the ground, but something I could also put on a hard surface and not have any problems, or even something that I can stake down. So what I thought is I got some of these big old pieces of angle iron laying around. I think I'm going to go ahead and weld these onto the bottom. And I'm going to cut a little bit of, I'm going to cut some teeth into the edges here so it kind of digs in real well. And then on top of that, I'm also going to drill a big old hole here and here. That way I could put a stake down through them if I ever wanted to stake this thing down. Should work. Don't see why not. I'm going to go ahead and cut these up and do some sort of serrations on these sides or something like that. And I'm going to do it off camera here, and I'll be right back with the final product before we weld it on. All right, so I went ahead and cut some teeth on these here, and what I'm going to do is just weld these right to the ends here and do those ×3, and then put it all back together and see how that looks, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, so I mocked everything up here just to see how it all works. I do like the feet; those turned out really well. I don't know. All in all, it's very solid. I'm very happy with it. I went ahead and finished welding up the feet solid, so that's all done. The telescoping legs work just like they should. This is all welded up just like it should. Everything's working as it should. Pretty much my next step now is going to be securing these legs with the quick pins, which is going to be really simple, really easy. All I'm going to do is take a drill. I'm going to drill all the way through them so that these will fit through. And then the lanyard here, I'm probably just going to mount back to the top here. That way when I take it off, I can't ever lose my pins. So I'll go ahead and drill those holes right now, get those done. And then after that, it's going to be time to start prepping for paint from there, it looks like. So I'll get drilling those holes quick and we'll be done shortly. All right, and after several broken drill bits, I do have these all drilled out. They all have quick pins in them, so you just pull the pin out and go. They're all secured with the lanyards. And at this point, everything is ready to go for paint. So I'm going to take everything back apart. I'm going to clean up all the sharp edges. I'm going to clean up the stainless steel, degrease, everything like that, get all the mill scale off. And tomorrow we're going to go ahead and start sandblasting and painting. So I'll see you guys here tomorrow. And we're back on the next day here. I got all of our tripod parts disassembled, cleaned up, prepped, ready for painting. I did go ahead and polish up the inner tubes here with a nice 400 grit sandpaper. After it's all said and done, I might do a final polish on it again. But everything is all ready for painting here. Last night I got a little excited and I got ahead of myself. I already primed and painted the Mark 93 mount stuff. So that'll be ready to go here today when this is all done. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get everything hung up, and we're going to go ahead and get this stuff painted. All right, and looks like this project's all finished up. Tripod turned out fantastic. It looks really good. It's heavier duty than I thought it would be, so I'm very pleased with that. Really, I have no complaints at all. It turned out fantastic. This thing is super, super fun. I can't wait to go ahead and shoot this thing. So the next part of the video series we're going to be doing will be shooting this guy, just kind of give you an idea of how the semi-auto version works compared to the full auto version. So then in the third video, I'm going to show you how to disassemble and clean this thing and reassemble it, as well as how to properly headspace this barrel. For you old timers out there, you know how to do the old school headspacing on these. But for those who are new to this and are not familiar with the older barrel versions, I'm going to show you how to properly headspace it with the gauge and everything like that. So stay tuned for the next videos here coming out on this. And as always, we'll see you on the next one.